Everyone in town crossed the street when they saw Mr. Harlan coming. His boots made a heavy sound on the pavement, like warning drums. That morning, when I saw my 5-year-old son reach out to hold his hand, my heart nearly stopped. But what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about fear. Before continue, please subscribe our channel and like our video. I've lived in the same small town my whole life, the kind where everyone knows everyone, and gossip spreads faster than rainwater on a hot day. I ran a little grocery shop on the corner of Maple Street. People came not just for food, but for stories. We shared whispers, laughter, and sometimes judgment. Mr. Harlan lived 2 streets away, in a house that looked like time had forgotten it. The fence leaned, the paint peeled, and the curtains never opened. Children were told to stay away from his yard. Adults called him the man with a temper. There were stories. How he once threw a chair in the mayor's office. How he shouted at a boy for stepping on his lawn. Some said he'd been to jail. Others whispered that he'd lost everything, and lost his mind too. I never saw him smile. Every morning, he walked past my store, his hat pulled low, his shoulders stiff. If our eyes met, he'd give a small nod. No words. I told my son, Liam, to stay close whenever Mr. Harlan passed. Don't stare, honey, I whispered once. Why? He asked. Because he doesn't like people much. But Liam was curious, the way only children can be. Back then, I thought I knew what kind of man Mr. Harlan was. Angry, dangerous, someone to avoid. But I was wrong. Sometimes what looks like anger is only pain with nowhere to go. One summer evening, there was an argument outside my store. Mr. Harlan had come in to buy bread and milk. 2 men standing near the counter whispered something, and then laughed. He froze. What did you say? His voice was low but sharp. The men went quiet, but one of them muttered, "Crazy old man." Before I could react, Mr. Harlan slammed his money on the counter, grabbed his things, and stormed out. The door rattled behind him. The men just laughed louder. That night, I couldn't shake the unease. I shouldn't have let them talk that way. Not in my store. But I stayed silent, just like everyone else did around him. The next morning, the town woke to find someone had thrown stones at his window. The kids said it was just a joke. He didn't report it. He just nailed wooden boards over the glass and said nothing. From that day on, the rumors grew crueler, and the distance between him and the rest of us grew too. Weeks passed. Mr. Harlan stopped coming to my shop. I noticed his mailbox overflowing, his yard untended. The town moved on, except for Liam, who asked about him often. Why doesn't Mr. Harlan come anymore? Maybe he goes somewhere else, I said. Is he lonely? I didn't know what to answer. Then autumn came. One windy night, the power went out across town. I was closing the store when I saw a small figure running down the street. Liam. Liam. I shouted, panicking. He stopped at the corner, where the wind tossed leaves like paper. Where are you going? To help Mr. Harlan, he said, holding a tiny flashlight. His lights are out too. Before I could stop him, Mr. Harlan appeared from the dark. He was carrying a lantern, its faint light trembling. He looked tired. His hands shook as he took the flashlight from Liam. Thank you, son, he said softly. His voice wasn't rough. It was quiet, careful. Liam smiled, unfazed by the fear the town had built around him, and in that moment, something in me shifted. Later, I found out he'd been living without proper electricity for weeks. A bank error had cut his power, and he was too proud to ask for help. I started leaving small parcels by his gate. Bread, milk, a few apples. Never signed my name. Sometimes the parcels stayed, untouched. Sometimes they disappeared overnight. Then winter came, sharp and cold, and Mr. Harlan vanished. Again. No one had seen him for days. People joked. Maybe he went to scare another town. But when snow covered his porch and the mail piled up, even I began to worry. One evening, I finally went to check. The door was half open. I hesitated, then called softly, "Mr. Harlan?" No answer. Inside, the air was cold and smelled of dust. The furniture was old, but neat. On the table, there was a framed photo, a young woman and a little girl smiling. Beside it, a letter, the handwriting shaky. It was addressed to my daughter, Clara. The words told a story none of us knew. His wife and daughter had died in a car accident 20 years ago, right outside town. He had been driving. He blamed himself. The anger, the silence, the isolation, all came from that unbearable guilt. He couldn't leave, but he couldn't live among reminders either. That night, I sat on his porch and cried quietly, because I had joined the voices that judged him, without ever knowing his pain. I didn't tell anyone about the letter. Some stories aren't meant for gossip. They're meant for grace. The next morning, I told Liam, "We're going to visit Mr. Harlan." He nodded, holding a small paper bag filled with cookies we'd baked. When he opened the door, his face softened for the first time. "I thought people forgot I existed," he said. I smiled. Not everyone. We started visiting him every week. Liam would draw pictures for him. Houses, trees, smiles. Sometimes I'd bring soup. Sometimes we'd just sit quietly while he told stories about the days when he was young and hopeful. He began fixing his house, repainting the fence, planting small flowers by the window. People still crossed the street when he passed. But I noticed something. He no longer walked with his head down. And every time Liam saw him, he ran to hold his hand. That simple gesture, the thing everyone once feared, became the symbol of something beautiful. It was spring when the town fair returned. For years, Mr. Harlan had avoided it. But this time, he came, walking beside us. The same men who once mocked him fell silent as he passed. Children stared. Liam tugged his hand, saying, "Come see the horses." I watched as Mr. Harlan smiled, a real, gentle smile, and followed the child through the crowd. Later, when the mayor thanked everyone for attending, he paused and looked toward Mr. Harlan. "Sometimes," he said, "a community heals not through big words, but small kindness." There was quiet applause. Mr. Harlan nodded, eyes glistening, and for the first time in decades, he didn't look like a man alone. A few months later, Mr. Harlan passed away peacefully in his sleep. The whole town came to his funeral, even those who once feared him. In his will, he left his small house to the town library, with a note, "For the children, the ones who see people, not rumors." Liam still remembers him. Sometimes, when he sees someone sitting alone, he walks up and says, "You can hold my hand if you want." And every time he does, I think of that day, the day fear met kindness, and how a child reminded us what it means to truly see a person. We all have stories behind our silence. Sometimes, all it takes is one brave hand to reach through it. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more calm, real-life stories that remind us of the quiet power of kindness.